Hello there everybody, I'm Pegasus Killer, and I would like to take a look with you at the very recent Kerch bridge explosion and subsequent fire. Now we're being told that it was a truck bomb that have exploded essentially on this span of the bridge right there. And I'm not so sure about that idea. Right, note that there is a box up here and we have something built down here. By the way, this picture is from Japan Times, just so that we adhere to the rules of fair use. I have to tell you where I took that picture from, and of course there we have the damaged rail bridge right next to the road bridge, which by the way has both sides damaged. It appeared at first like only this is broken. You can actually see that here's a little gap on the bridge. That's because this part of the bridge was pushed down so violently. Essentially, you've had so much force going down here that this portion of the bridge was pulled in that direction, and this portion of the bridge was pulled in the other direction. And this pillar, this part has essentially slid down from the pillar, which, by the way, might have been damaged. And if you take a look at the bit of a lineup here, so you can see the damage on the burning bridge with the rail. And you can see the shadows here on this bridge begin here. There the shadow begins here. You have shadow here, but also shadow here, which kind of gives us a direction in this sort of manner. Which is kind of interesting that, you know, you can just kind of observe that all. If you just take a look at one picture, it kind of tells you something. So remember this box and that box, and I'll show you a... Oh, by the way, just so that we know where we are, funny, my arrows have almost made it to the right point. Hang on. We are, you can see the box right here. The marker is not very visible here. And there you have this bumper thing right there. Okay, so those are our two navigational points on that bridge right there. And now we're going to take a look at the CCTV. And I want you to be looking at this truck and that truck. Okay, so here we go. We're going at 0.25 speed. This one was shown by The Guardian. I'll give you full screen so that you're not deprived of good visibility. And look at the trucks. You can see this one is starting to rise up the hill. It's going upwards, bang. And now you can see that that bumper we have seen, that round thing, that is right there where this truck is. Okay, so that's behind. And I'm just gonna small it a bit. We'll take a look. Yeah, so essentially this truck that we have seen, it's an open top of some sort. That is right there, and the bridge was pulled from behind it, essentially. So the bridge was pulled forward, it fell. That truck is now right there. I'm not sure, I'm actually not seeing it directly on the footage here, but that would be, I think, this line. All right, this line would be that kind of that kind of a thing that goes together in order to adjust for wind and temperature, you know, so that you can have some movement in the span and not have it explode on you due to just changes in temperature. Now, let's keep going with that video. You can see there is a massive carnage, just a massive blast. Everything is on fire. That truck would have been very much full of explosives if that is your explosion there, or it would be very high grade explosive. And, you know, this is now rising. There's a lot of flames in that smoke. And now I want you to look at this. You see all of this glitter right there that is flying all over the place. Okay, so you look and you see all of the glitter is coming from, give or take, that direction. And you can actually see that right there. All of these, do you even see there? Yes, you do. All of these bright spots right there, that is also where the glitter falls. That could be, and now we're shaking because that we've been hit by the blast wave. And you can see that it's actually hitting that pillar pretty well, but all of this goes from one direction, kind of, actually, my arrow is kind of dumb, kind of that direction. Okay, and it's coming in from that direction, and it's actually hitting the bridge on the other side. Could be phosphor, if you think about it, as well as it could be just really superheated metal. And now we have a look from underneath the bridge. It's someone recording a monitor, and bang. Again, you see the glitter coming in from that one direction. And again, I would like you to now have a bit of a look. We'll move to before the explosion. And you see this right there. Right there. That's our box. And if you take a look where it is, this truck is coming onto this span now. Then there is another span, and on the next span is that box. See that? So we have a broken, this one have exploded. This one have been most likely pulled. Now we have one intact span, and we have that box. And if my eyes are not... Let me remove these so that you're not being annoyed. If I'm looking correctly, okay, you see the truck on that span, and now we have that blast. Let's see. So here... we turn all white. And there is one span, and on the other span, unfortunately this is really bad resolution, but on the other, or is it basically one span, and the next span should be the box. We actually have also some lamps here, but unfortunately it's, oh, hang on a second. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lamps from the site. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lamps. Yeah, so actually this is about correct. This is about correct. So it does blow up here. But what puzzles me is, again, right, we have the explosion there. We're shaking, this camera is closer, and again we have this, all of this glitter coming in. And there's bugs flying around me, so if I hit the microphone, sorry. So if all of this glitter, all of this mess, and unfortunately this is all too obscured for now. Oh yeah, there you can see the edge of the breakage. That's where the edge of the bridge have disappeared, essentially. And you have all of this glitter coming actually onto the, and that that secondary explosion there, most likely the train that was filled with fuel. Now, that is the damage to the railway span. I was showing you all of that in a small window. Sorry about that. I'm not going to turn to redo that. But essentially, now you have all of this fuel spilling out of that train and burning on the main railway span here and there. This is very bad. This is very bad. I've actually seen footage. I couldn't find it for you, but I have seen footage where the rails essentially have been shaped so that you've had big bulges, actually big holes in them, and those were imprints of the wheels of the train that was on there. Somebody recorded that on their phone, and many of the rails have been just freaking molten like that. So there was definitely enough heat to cause very permanent damage to the bridge itself, as well as definitely to at least one track. So if you understand anything about metallurgy, given that fuel may be burning at some, I don't know, 800 degrees centigrade, at 650 degrees centigrade, you're reaching about 50% strength on that material. When you reach, so that's your 650. When you reach 750, that is engineering limit. So that's your limit. This is where the steel is so damaged that you can no longer use it. You have to actually cut that span out and make a do-over. Basically, you melt the beam and make a new beam. Not necessarily out of it, but you need a new beam in order to repair that bridge. And that is of course a problem, because if you actually send a train over that, all right, this portion of the bridge right now that was on fire for many hours on end, and with steel, minutes matter. All right, this essentially is now just a picture of a bridge. It's not really a bridge I would dare to put my foot on, much less an actual train, because the steel beams are now so weakened that they could give any time. They might hold, because that box girder is actually pretty thick. They might hold, but they also might give. It's just a lottery. We don't know how long those spans could hold. They might hold for years. They may hold for a week. We have no idea. By the way, both of the bridge parts here, let's see if we can see that here. Yes, that I have nailed this perfectly. Look at that. Okay, and you can see this is your fallen bridge. All of this looks perfectly good. You can actually see where the railing was torn off. And impressively enough, we also get to see damage on this part of the bridge, which means that this part of the bridge is also broken. All right, look at the construction of the bridge. You have, I'm not sure if that's a box girder or if that's concrete, but essentially this part is bent out of shape. So if it's concrete, it's broken. If it's a box girder, it's very badly misshaped. And again, this thing went through a serious fire, but more importantly, it's deformed. And that means it's not safe to put a car on that. It's definitely not safe to put a truck on that by any means, much less fully loaded one. So that this will be definitely a logistical problem for the Russians. I have some more mess here. So that will be definitely, I have some more mess here still. There. There, that black marker really doesn't want to come off. There we go. So this is basically my quick analysis of what happened. I don't think it was necessarily a truck bomb. I could be wrong. All of that glitter that you see here could have been thrown up by the explosion, and then it could have been blown back by the wind. But considering the angle and speed and everything else, how all of those sparks are falling, that would be pretty damn strong wind there. Now, we're close to the ocean, so... I mean, we're at the ocean, to be precise, so that wouldn't be anything weird. But still, the fact that everything appears to go from one side points to me either one, one, all right? One is, actually, wait a second, this is beautiful writing space. One, it was a boat. But then I'm kind of surprised by the fact that we have a smoked surface on that bridge. Because then I would expect that boat to explode underneath the bridge. So that doesn't quite fit. Or, my favorite hypothesis, number 2, it was a thermobaric bomb, and I'm not going to be writing that because that's too many letters. AKA vacuum bomb, which works based on the principle of creating so much pressure at a space that if you have any structure underneath that, it will buckle like this bridge, because the other side of that structure is as good as having vacuum on there, because the pressure differential is so high on this. If you imagine this as a full bridge, the pressure differential between here and there is so massive that the bridge will just break and bend. But it could have been also a completely different kind of bomb. Definitely, though, I'm not so sure about it being a truck bomb, because the truck kind of seems to explode where it should. And it is on the broken span, as far as I can see. But all of the debris from the explosion is coming from somewhere else. Not to mention, I have actually seen somewhere, again, I could not find that footage, but I have seen a piece of footage that actually had the beginning of the explosion, the beginning of the bright light it had right there. So it had like one extra frame. But unfortunately, internet is wild, so that footage was most likely buried somewhere. But even with this, you have all of this stuff coming down here from that direction, all across the screen. And just so that we highlight the damage here. So that's where the explosion went. This was pulled. That was pulled. This is cracked. At least the construction underneath. This bridge is damaged. It looks to me like somebody had a cruise missile, sent it there, and just about missed. And the curious part about that is that it's on this direction of the bridge. Because if you take a good look, that part of the bridge, right? If we take a good look, that part of the bridge, that's right about here, right about there. We've had an explosion. Okay, let's zoom out. Zooming out. This is Kerch Strait. This is Crimea. This is Russia. There you can see written Sea of Azov. We zoom out, and you realize all of this, all of that completely, all of that is under control of Russia. All of this. So either the Ukrainians have gotten the where it would be close enough. I think around there somewhere, they're already controlling it. So either they would be shooting really damn far, in which case, if they hit this precisely, cool. Or, if it was a rocket, someone could have done a bit of an inside job, because it's pretty close from here, it's pretty close from here, it's pretty close from there. And even from here, this is all pretty close. And another rumor has it, and I can't confirm it, but another rumor has it that this truck was supposed to come from Bulgaria, apparently. I see that as a bit of a problem, because if that was a Ukrainian terrorist truck, they would be probably loading it with explosives somewhere here, or they will have to have someone on the inside across there. If they'll be loading it here, okay, that is one border to cross, another border to cross, another border to cross, then across the whole damn Turkey, another border to cross, another border to cross, and then you'll have to cross the Czech on the Crimea Bridge. So that's a lot of stops that you have to make. I mean, potentially Romania, Bulgaria, you might not, but I think Romania actually does checks, and you definitely have checks here between Ukraine and Romania. Now, if you'd be loading it somewhere else, again, you have to at least cross to Russia, all right? If it was in Georgia, you have to cross to Russia. If you do it in Turkey, you have to cross to Georgia and then to Russia, and then this stop. So that's kind of interesting. Now I have a third hypothesis, because there's a bit of a war that nobody cares about right now. But that bit of a war is in Syria. Now, where's Syria? I have never looked up Syria. There it is. Haha. As far as I know, there is war between Syria and Iraq. And honestly, I haven't been interested enough to actually figure out where exactly it's going on and what's happening. But Russians are a part of that conflict, as far as I know. And, you know, while Ukrainians are kind of Christian people, meaning suicide in a truck is not necessarily the most appealing thing for them. We have, you know, a bit of an Islam-loving country here, where this would be significantly less of a problem for someone to go load themselves into a truck full of explosives and then blow themselves up on a bridge. Again, the problem is reaching and crossing all of those borders. But if it was a bomb in a truck, I would actually expect Syrian to be in that truck instead of anyone else, because Syria is currently also being pummeled by our Russian friends. So Russia have made a lot of very bad adversaries, and there is no good end to that. All right, This country of this size, country that spans from here to here, okay. And they need one dot on a map that I mean, I don't even like Ukrainians that much, right? And I can't see why would anyone want Ukraine if you have this kind of a country unless you mess up your economy so hard and your culture so hard that you literally have to dilute it somehow, and you really need Ukraine to do the job. It's large enough country already, and they can't really handle it. So that's it. That's all of my analysis here. Your pride is gone. And honestly, I'm not so sure if it was really Ukrainians blowing it up, because there is pretty good reason for me to believe that this was an inside job, potentially, or that it was someone completely else, like the Syrians. All right, that would be all for me. End of recording sound. I said end of recording sound. There we go. And end of recording.